Hey friends, it's your boy SVH coming at you with track number 7 from my new album, The Sonic Velocity of Harmony. Track number 7 is called Consciousness Colliding. And yeah, this one's a really interesting track. So the whole idea kind of started out, I was out in Arizona at my sister and brother-in-law's house a couple Christmases ago, I believe. And was just sipping some coffee, sitting in the backyard first thing in the morning, and I noticed about a half a dozen dragonflies that were all kind of flying around in the same area. It looked like they were dancing, you know, they were all kind of just doing their thing. They'd fly away and then fly back in, and then, you know, they can kind of hover, so they would kind of hover close to each other and spin around and then, you know, fly away and then come back. It was really interesting, and it went on for a good amount of time, you know, probably 5 minutes. You know, usually stuff like that only happens for a few seconds and they're on their way, but it was a good period of time. So yeah, the whole concept, then that idea of dancing dragonflies was in my head, and then kind of immediately you know, behind that was intuitions intertwined, because a dragonfly, you know, if you look at the different lore around what a dragonfly stands for or means, or what the spiritual meaning of seeing one is and things like that, it typically starts off with intuition. So the dragonfly really symbolizes intuition. And you know, this also, you look at the dragonfly, it can fly in different directions, it can hover in one spot, it can see in multiple angles at the same time, you know, and this is really kind of how intuition works, right? Intuition can stop you in your tracks right where you are. It can hover over a situation, it can zip one way or zip the other way, and it has the foresight to see in multiple angles and directions. So, you know, these are things that when you really take a look at the aesthetic meanings behind some of these things, it can take you into a very creative space, right? So the whole idea of dancing dragonflies and intuitions intertwining, you know, really kind of set the tone for that. And then, you know, thematically, kind of where I went with this is, you know, also I've done a lot of training, you know, spiritual training, esoteric training, where, you know, especially in the last, I don't know, 5-6 years or more, a lot of things have moved to online, and a lot of these retreats and things that you would do in person are being done online. And there's these times where you do these practices where, you know, you're really connecting with someone else, sending energy, receiving energy, you know, images, thoughts, things like that. And it's pretty remarkable how accurate people can connect their consciousness from afar, just as easily as they could do it, sometimes easier than they could do it if they were sitting right across from each other in person. So this was kind of the idea of this consciousness colliding, you know, when you make a conscious connection with someone or something, you know, an animal or plant, or, you know, seemingly inanimate object, a rock, a crystal or something, you make that connection. There's a conscious connection there. Your consciousness is connecting with their consciousness, which then leads you to an understanding that there is a one supreme consciousness, and that is the divine consciousness, the mind of God, the soul of God. And so, you know, this idea evolved from there into, you know, really the question of, you know, how is it that we can feel God and experience God without ever seeing God, you know, in the physical sense, right? Your beauty surrounds me even though I've never touched your face, is one of the lines. And it's like you feel and experience the beauty of God in all things when you're open to it, and want to experience that, and that becomes something real and tangible. So it's your consciousness being, and this is the whole idea of meditation. This is the whole idea of spiritual work, is ascending your own thought and your own experience to take on and feel a much higher experience, a much realer, truer experience, which is non-physical. It is spiritual. You know, it happens in a different realm, a different space, where you have that true connection and feel that almost otherworldliness, right? But this whole idea of consciousness colliding is, if you can set your consciousness aside to connect with the divine consciousness, be that God consciousness, Christ consciousness, Buddha, the Buddha nature, you know, the energy of Shiva, you know, whatever expression of divinity fits for you, that's that higher consciousness colliding with the divine consciousness, or with your own consciousness colliding with the higher consciousness, which is the divine consciousness, the one true consciousness that is all, right? We just forget. We've just forgotten, and we need to remember, and that's the whole idea, is remembrance of who you are and what your true nature is and what your consciousness is truly capable of. So when you start to have those little experiences of conscious connection with one another, that opens a little door, turns on a little flicker of light, right? And then you go from there to what else is there, and you start to experience what's beyond, and then you start to tap into higher consciousness, and that's where the true beauty unfolds for you. And yeah, so this is really the whole concept and idea of this song, is about consciousness colliding, intuitions intertwining, dancing dragonflies, and all that good jazz. And it's a really cool riff too, really cool groove, nice clean part in there that kind of offsets it well. So just a really well-crafted song, nice melody, nice harmonies and things in the vocals. So I like it. Hope you like it. Hope the messaging and the concept is something that makes you ponder a little bit your own connection with the divine, and what you can do to open up your consciousness to that higher consciousness to make that real connection. So hope you guys have a great afternoon, and I'll be back again tomorrow with song number 8.